taking a look at technical analysis. We were talking about BHP Billiton earlier and looking at how technical graphs can help when deciding when to buy a stock. But let's take a look at a small cap stock like Bell. And we've still got Frans de Klerk joining us on the line. He's a technical analyst. So Frans, take us through what the chart is telling us from that small cap stock perspective.
Samantha, an interesting thing about a share, and Bell is not a small company. I mean, some of the guys in the studio will tell you that they're quite a big operation. But what happens is, in some periods between, if you look at June to about November, there were days that there were only 1,000 shares traded for that day. And the big mistake that any trader can do, or even think about maybe on a single stock future or a CFD, and that's instruments that a lot of traders are using to trade in, is to go and buy a big lot of that share. So what they can actually do is they will actually manipulate the share higher or even let the share fall on that particular day. And I will advise any trader that rather leave a share out that is so illiquid. I mean, Bell did nothing for 6-7 months, and everybody will say, okay, but that's a fantastic consolidation, and you must buy it on the breakout. But the problem is the day that it breaks out, it goes 2 to 3 to 4% on one day. Why? Because the whole world is looking at that stock and suddenly say, there is a technical buy-in, and we must buy it, and the stop loss is maybe 4 or 5 rand lower than that. And everybody rush in, and then they actually push the price even higher. What I will say is, if you want to trade, and if you want to trade in any stock, the first thing is to look at, if I buy a stock, say for instance I buy 1,000 or 2,000 shares, can I sell them? And if I cannot sell them, rather leave that stock alone. And if you look at the share, any line graph will tell you straight away, if there's no movement, just look at the volume. And if there's no volume, just leave it alone.
Your experience, does that tell you that that's the most important question to ask?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the obvious thing. Can I actually get out? Because it's the same as you're buying or selling a house, and you say, well, my house is worth 1.5 million. It's only worth 1.5 million if there's somebody who's prepared to pay 1.5 million. If they're only prepared to pay $1 million, that's what it's worth. And I think that's the whole thing, is what actually constitutes a market. And I think if you look in South Africa, I mean, we have such a concentrated set of, our indices are very, very concentrated around our top 10 shares. I think top 40 basically makes up 80% of it. And you've got, so anything that happens in those big cap shares tends to drag everything along with it. And I think that you've got to be very, very careful when you're looking at the smaller elements. Are they just being dragged along by index tracking if they're sort of in that mid cap range? Or are they just, is it just overall enthusiasm? And I think that's where you've got to be very careful differentiating between what are the factors that are actually driving it and what is the real volume. I think volume is probably the one thing that's come out of this discussion, is that you've got to be able to buy and sell it, and you've got to actually see that there's people actually have conviction. It's not a big move if you move 10% on 1,000 shares.
What are your thoughts on everything that's been said around the BHP versus Bell, for example?
Well, I think essentially there are two important factors that come into play, and I think it's one, psychology, and two, logic. And I'm inclined to say that technical analysis does tend to be leaning more towards psychology and looking at the market from a psychological perspective, whereas if you look at a fundamental analysis, it tends to look at a more logic analysis. So I think at the end of the day, I think it's a glass half empty and maybe a glass half full. I think if you look at the two, as Vivid had suggested earlier, I think you might get a more concise view, but I still think it's a glass half empty, glass half full. It's open to interpretation for a lot of people when they are analyzing technical analysis.
This is good. Sorry to Frans. Frans, so basically, bottom line from your perspective is, how should a trader use technical analysis if they are looking at a smaller company on the exchange here in South Africa?
Samantha, if I must say that I will not trade in a share that the volume is low, but if you want to buy it, say for instance like Bell, if you decide that you want to buy it, there's a difference in buying the stock for maybe a 5 or a 10-year view or even a 1-year view and say, I want to accumulate when the breakout is here, but then I will only buy it as a proper investment. But if you want to trade, you must go to any company. You can go to any company or any instrument. The volume must be there, and I haven't got the name of the previous speaker, and he said it clearly. You need to have the volume to sell out. It doesn't help you to buy 10,000 shares and you cannot sell it out. That is the crucial factor here, that you must be able to buy enough stock and sell at the time when you want to sell it.
I mean, Viv, we're also talking about discipline when it comes to trading, and kind of the key thing to look at is how much money you're prepared to lose, and having discipline with stop losses. And perhaps you're saying that that's one of the key fundamentals when it comes to looking at trading.
Yes, I mean, look, when it comes to trading, it's the number one is discipline. Investing is about finding the value of something and being willing to hold on. Just as a point here, I would say that if you're looking at a small cap stock, never put a derivative on that. The lack of volume, especially on the bid side, sometimes the market falls against you, means that sometimes you may have to take a 20% knock when you're only prepared to start to take a 5% knock. But when it comes to discipline, I think I always tell people is this, that people say discipline is an easy thing. But look at your real life. As a non-trader, as a person on the street, there's two things you can do to make your life a lot easier, or a lot better, let us say. If you eat less or healthier and you exercise more, you'd be a much happier, healthier person. But look at the amount of overweight people out there. Look at yourself, for instance, you know what I mean? And the same
Thanks a lot, Viv.
No, look at me, let us say, right? But look at trading the same way. Everything that you have in your mind that's logical, it's like tells you, okay, this is what you should do. But the sentiment when the stock drops that you are in is buy more. Averaging is something that I see even the most disciplined traders or the most experienced traders, they almost always once in a while fall into the trap. This thing is way too undervalued, or this thing is way too overvalued, and they'll go short or long on something that is actually going against them. And you see that happen across the board.
Put a stop loss down and stick to it.
And make sure the size of your investment also is something that you must also control very strongly.
Frans, from a technical perspective, and just going back to this, I mean, what indicators and technical tools are most applicable here? I mean, are there any specifically, say, your top three that are your favorite that you would suggest apply to smaller companies?
To be honest with you, I think on smaller companies, I don't think you must trade in. You must actually buy it as a proper investment. But if you look at the bigger ones, the indicators, and over the years, you get older and you get a bit wiser. So when you get into your 40s, I think you move to the stochastics and you move to the MACD indicators. They're a bit slower. They will maybe put you in a bit later. And sometimes if you go in and trading and you make trading a hobby or maybe a career, the main thing is to phase yourself in. But if you see you're wrong, rather cut it before it gets to a position where it actually gives you some sleepless nights. The main thing is, if you want to use indicators, you need to know your indicators quite well. And where a lot of people sometimes make a big mistake, they look at 100 indicators. I like to use maybe one indicator and another one, and then combine it with the volume. And if I have a confirmation of the volume, I will say, okay, then I can maybe nibble. If the indicators are like now, I mean, if you talk to any technical analysis, they will tell you that the market is way overbought and the market is just running away, and I mean it's burning 1,000 of speculators every day. Why? Because those indicators are right at the top, and that is sometimes it's so difficult to decide when to go short. And the main reason being is all the cheap money that's in the world, all the politicians, all the big bankers of the world is actually controlling the markets at the moment, and they're just pumping it in, and that makes the indicator skew. So the best is to wait for a lower high, wait for a confirmation before you do something, because this situation can carry on for a while. And you know what's always interesting about a discussion like this? When a market is close to a top, like we're seeing now, maybe this market can carry on for another year or two, we never know. Then the discussion always takes place, is there a place for a technical analyst or a technical view on the market? Because at the point in time where we are now, nobody can see anything wrong. They can just see stimulus, they can just see hope, they can just see dividends, they can just see new highs. And that is at that point, it is exactly there that you need to get cautious about the market and say, listen, it's maybe time to take a bit of money off the table. And we're saying this from last year, October, November, we were warning, and the market is 10% higher. But that's exactly at the point where you must start look at your indicators, because those indicators will slowly but surely show that there's divergences in place. The price goes up, but the indicator doesn't want to correspond to that. That's the time to say maybe it's time to take money off the table.